Welcome, everyone. Next edition of Neo Reality Collective. So, big news Friday. It's the weekend, everybody. There will be no new episode on Sunday, as well. We're trying to get everything in order. Not in terms of there will be an episode, but I won't be recording on Sunday, to give myself a break at least once. But there will be an episode, so maybe there'll be an episode every day, but there won't be any recording until Monday for taping purposes. But I've been pretty busy. I got a new video out with Ronda Rousey and everything, and that is actually doing pretty good. It's clocking in at nearly 300 views. That was a few hours ago when I last looked. Let's take a look at the updates. It's currently at 285 views and 5 likes, 2 dislikes. So we're making progress on the YouTube landscape. Mostly it's timing. Timing is pretty much the one key component, it seems. But let's dig into the news that came out today and probably talk about some news that missed out on yesterday's episode's taping. So, the DC Universe app, the subscription service that was going to be this big revolutionary thing, took a huge nosedive for a lot of people because it was in the US only, then it went ahead and had even more momentum issues because DC started phasing out, and then when AT&T bought everything up, DC Universe was kind of on borrowed time, so they would have to, and then HBO Max launched, and then they would have to come up with something to make it enticing, and long and behold, it's been announced heading into 2021, available worldwide. DC Universe transitions into premium comic app DC Universe Infinite, because Infinite Crisis, Infinite Earths, and all that. So, the subscription service is undergoing a transformation next year. After DC publisher and chief creative officer Jim Lee promised a major announcement regarding the future of DC Universe, DC has announced that DC Universe will be known as DCU Infinite, a premium comic book subscription service debating on January 21st, 2021. The DC Universe Infinite will also be available worldwide starting in the summer of 2021. Our fans love the platform's robust library of comics, and with the transformation, we will not disappoint. DC's Jim Lee stated, I'm excited to share that not only will DC Universe members still be able to read all the great comics they've enjoyed, but new issues are debating the platform quicker than before. Digital first exclusives are being created, and the member-only events will begin as soon as possible. There's never been a better time to be a DC fan. So, a press release came out on all this. There will be a $74 annual fee, or $6.25 a month, or $7.99 a month. DC says explore exclusive DC Universe Infinite titles, expanded comic book library with early access, now 6 months after retail release, unlimited offline access, ability to create your own reading list, access on Android, iOS, and web, membership access to fan events, DC special offers at DC Shop, chances to win exclusive access to events, DC merch, and more. So, yeah, it's part of this whole thing where where DC is basically moving its video platforming stuff to the HBO Max service. So yeah, it sucked that that's the case, but yeah, I'm a little disappointed by that. It will be the home. HBO Max will be the home of former DCU originals such as Young Justice season 1 and 3, and Having 4, Titan season 1 through 3, Doom Patrol, Stargirl, and there will be another talk about DC Universe and all of its luscious content. But yeah, there is a planned renewal that happened, if you haven't seen the ticker, but we'll get back into that. So, Kamala Khan, we all remember Kamala Khan. She's been getting a new push by Marvel. Not only is she going to be part of the roles in the Outlawed storyline at at Marvel's comic universe. I've talked about DC so much this last several days that I'm pretty certain I'm pretty sure I'm addicted to just talking about DC Universe news. But there are some Marvel news that came out. But and the Direct first reported, and Hollywood reported, The Hollywood Reporter has confirmed that the directing duo behind the blockbuster Bad Boys for Life will be helming some of the episodes of the upcoming Ms. Marvel series. Joining them in the directors is Mira. I'm not sure to pronounce her name. Uh, Wait, I could be wrong. This is a she or he. I am not certain. But one of the directors of an episode of The Punisher, The Walking Dead, and The Titans, and the multiple Oscar and Emmy Award winning Sharman, whatever the last name is, who hails up from primarily a documentary background, also taped to direct episodes of the Disney Plus series. So now, all this stuff, including the head writer and producer of Marvel Studios, have committed to bringing the character into the big screen as well. Well, Kamala Khan is now the casting for the role is underway, and they said they want to be 100% accurate with Kamala Khan, so they're trying to find the person for it. And yeah, there's been a lot of hype around this idea. I'm honestly interested in Kamala Khan being in the MCU. She's been getting a push with the Avengers video game and being part of a major storyline for the young heroes, and she has been in big stories and events in a big role, but with this new pushing her more into the mainstream area, it's going to be interesting where they go with this. I'm certainly excited for it. And like, she's a fun character, very interesting character to me, but the Carol Danvers of the MCU working with Kamala Khan, I don't know how to feel about that. But when I heard the Bad Boys for Life directors were doing this, I was like, okay, that's an acquired taste. Like, I haven't seen the movie. I've seen the other two, but that was during the Michael Bay days. But who knows? So, more PS5 news that Amazon has come out due to demand. PS5 pre-orders may not arrive in time for launch. So, Wario64 on Twitter came out with a public email, came out with a tweet saying Amazon has sent an email saying PS5 orders may not arrive on launch day due to high demand, and saying this: "Hello, we're contacting you about your order for the PS5 console and to let you know in advance that you may not receive this item on the day it is released due to high demand. We'll make every effort to get the item to you as soon as possible once released." Yeah, this is part of that big disaster launch they did with the PS5. They gave barely any time for anyone to prepare. The stores barely time to prepare. The online shops to prepare. And it led to crashing, people not being able to access the sites. So, another case that Sony clearly was rushing to market. Yeah, and it comes out a few days after your Xbox Series X and S. But I'm thinking to myself, this is what happened with Nintendo Switch, and Amazon couldn't fulfill the orders. But at least I didn't hear big stuff regarding the Nintendo Switch in regards to the pre-order disaster. But yeah, the Xbox looks to be going full swing. They have given them enough time to build up servers and everything. But yeah, PS5 was not given a heads up. Like, they should have waited like a couple days or a week or two, like the Xbox, and do the pre-orders in October just to give enough server time for the major retailers to prepare. But yeah, complete disaster all around. So yeah, Jim Ryan has been in the news again. It explains Sony's decision to pass over on making a lower cost, lower spec console, signing that those kinds of hardware offerings haven't done well in the past. In a translated interview with Japanese media outlet Impressed, IDN independently verified, Ryan was asked why Sony didn't announce a lower cost PS5 design with lower specs. First of all, let me say that we respect the judgment and philosophy of our competitors. Obviously, price is an important factor, and we respect the strategy of our competitors. That said, we are completely convinced of our strategy and its implications. Except pre-order preparations, we fail at that. One thing I would say is that introducing a low-spec console at a low price range hasn't produced pleasing results in this industry's past. We've also considered such an approach, but I also know that other operators have tried and had problems. Well, I would say third-party micro consoles, but they're working more on a budget and take a risk. But this is Microsoft and Sony. They could probably take the risk and it would barely hurt them. I mean, like, I could be wrong, depending on how they do it. One thing, Ryan says the conclusion comes from research that says customers want to invest in a console for a long term and use it for as long as 7 years. We want the product we buy to be future proof. We are not looking to buy a product that will become obsolete in a few years. Although Sony isn't introducing a lower spec model this generation, the company revealed the PS5 Digital, a cheaper system in which the same specs as the standard PS5, except without physical media drive, will cost $399 compared to the $499 physical media version. Whereas Microsoft introduced their Xbox Series S, which is a cheaper, lower spec model that's capable of playing games at 1440p compared to the Xbox Series X's 4K, which costs $299. So that would probably come back to bite Sony a little bit. But we'll see when the consoles are launched. Because some people will probably say, the graphics are, I mean, graphically, it's impressive and graphic 4K. Anyway, people were like, I just want to play good games. Like, sure, graphics are important, but, like, we kind of want to just play good games. So, coming next week, around, if I'm correct, sometime later next week, No Man's Sky is getting a new update, major updates. No Man's Sky Origins, which will launch next week, and the studio's Sean Murray said Origins will be the beginning of something new. 4 years we announced Foundation, our first major update for No Man's Sky. Murray said in a blog post today, it won't be our latest update, but it's the start of something. Those words were true at the time, and they ring true for Origins. We called it Origins because it's the beginning of something new as No Man's Sky continues to grow and evolve after the horrendous disaster. The blog post goes on to mention the game's last major update, Beyond, which brought VR to the game and expanded upon its online capabilities, as well as regular updates received over the past year. Synthesis, Bytebeat, Living Ship, Echo Merge, Crossplay, and Desolation. We know that there is a huge appetite in the community for No Man's Sky content, and the team has worked our socks off this year to deliver different circumstances. We have been quiet, but we are always listening and focusing on improving the game that our team loves and feels so passionately about. So, this is expected to be free, and as far as when players can jump into it, that no official date has been given. However, it's just known that it will be next week. I am going to predict Friday. I could be wrong, though. So, yeah, No Man's Sky had a ton of big promises for the game before it first launched, and it was a complete disaster. But then they did the big mega patch update, and it fixed a lot of the big issues, but the damage was kind of done for a lot of people. But it has survived and started to regrow its numbers, and we can at least say that it didn't fuck up entirely like Fallout 76, whereas Fallout 76 continues to somehow get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Did I ever mention Fallout 76 is just not that good? Yeah, like I'm amazed people have been able to invest thousands of hours. Some of them have because they kind of are insane, but still, at least like when I heard there was someone who played over thousands of hours within the first year, I was like, but there's barely anything in there. How? And then I also like if this was during the pandemic when it came out, then I could believe someone could make that much time because, well, we're in a pandemic and we're kind of social distancing. But, yeah. DC Universe, as last original banner show, is Harley Quinn. It's leaving DC Universe and going to HBO Max, renewed for season 3. Yay! So, they posted a tweet talking about how season 3 is coming on Twitter, and and the cast is returning and everything. While DC hasn't revealed when Harley Quinn Season 3 might debate, we do know that DC Universe Infinite will relaunch and take place in 2021, with a global launch to follow later. The service will continue to offer free digital comics, yada yada. But, yeah, Harley Quinn, it's back. We're going to see raunchy insanity, thought-provoking at times, and important characters development and everything. Insanity galore. Damn it, I'm excited. Everyone has wanted this season, and everyone was wondering why they didn't announce this at Fandom. Yeah, I'm wondering why. But, yeah. Season 3, everyone. Harley Quinn's back. In the world of professional wrestling, Chris Jericho has not only provided trademarks for Mimosa Mayhem, but it was also revealed on Fightful.com that Jericho has filed for 2 more trademarks. He now wants to apply trademarks for, and this is part of his whole I want to be this, Clint Bobsky and Million Viewer Man. Yeah. So, Million Viewer Man is the nickname has given himself the Million Viewer Man because of AEW cracking 1 million on September 9th edition of AEW. And Clint Bobsky is the name Jericho uses for Southpaw Regional Wrestling. That's a WWE product. I'm still surprised they still do that. And they're doing it again on WWE Supercard. But I'm thinking to myself, wait, you mean to tell me that Vince, who has the immense hatred for the past, the territories and everything, he would want people to remember that in those days? But anyways, I am curious to know. So, Jericho filed a trademark for what was a WWE creation, but I was thinking to myself, wait, but how does that work? How does that work? Because WWE made Southpaw Regional Wrestling, the show. So, wouldn't it make sense they own the name? Won't that cause a conflict of interest? Or was it like, well, Jericho's gone, so we got no use for it, so let's just throw it out the window? But, yeah, confusing. So, WWE, meanwhile, is having problems. So, WWE ally and U.S. Network and Sci-Fi president Chris McCumber leaves NBC Universal, so they lost their big ally. Deadline reports McCumber's team was notified in a memo. There has been a major realignment in NBCU's streaming and linear TV group, which introduced a new centralized structure under Mark Lazarus, who is chairman of the NBC Universal TV and streaming. McCumber joined USA in 2001 and has led the network since 2011. He was also influential in WWE being on the network, as he is credited with spearheading negotiations to some of the biggest NBCU cable programming deals, including licensing Raw and SmackDown. At USA, he was a point person overseeing the network's long partnership with WWE. This news comes nearly a week after Boney Hammer, another WWE ally, got a new role at NBCU, and all that chaos. So they signed a 5-year deal on USA Network until sometime in 2023, I think. The deal officially started 2019, so yeah, 2024. But now that they lost this big ally of theirs, well, negotiations, when it comes back around, will it come back to bite them? Will there be, like, the new ally got a role, so yeah, they have a shot still there. But I am wondering how this goes regarding for WWE, and if USA Network, if this guy is in fact the reason why NXT was on the show, okay, I'll be happy for that. I'll be happy he's gone, but because I want NXT to either move to a different night, because this conflict of war has reached toxic levels, mostly because social media exists, where if it existed back then, oh hell, that would have been a disaster. But yeah, I've been advocating that NXT or AEW, but I'm thinking AEW should stay on Wednesday. NXT should just make the move to Tuesday or Thursday. Tuesday probably not at the same time because, well, Impact and NWA had that role. Now Impact just does. So probably move to Thursday. Like they can handle NXT UK on there as well. It airs at 3 in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time. But yeah, yeah. So I am wondering where this is gonna go. I hope this leads to some directed changes regarding NXT being on Wednesday and move it to a different night, because I just want this war to just end. It started off hot, it started off great. It was this much needed breath of fresh air competition, but the fans have completely ruined it for me. One of the few times that I can safely say fans ruined something for me. Yeah, surprisingly. It wasn't the shots WWE or AEW took at each other. It wasn't the counter programming. That can work if it doesn't consume them, and AEW so far hasn't done counter programming. And they just had to change things up because of certain stuff of the pandemic. But WWE was clearly saying we need to counter program with the Great American Bash. Though I am still wondering why they have not brought back Halloween Havoc yet for October. They haven't announced anything yet. And I'm thinking, like, wouldn't that make sense to have it as a takeover event? But they'll probably make it a NXT super special, even though that would be making no sense. And it's because a takeover is about to happen in that same month. But yeah, complete disaster all around on that. Fan bases went to war with each other over this, and now it's just like, I want to be a wrestling fan again. But at the same time, Vince doesn't want AEW to grow. They want them to stay here, don't go over here because monopoly. But he should probably be more worried about Andrew Yang, who's breathing down his neck. Also, Pete Dunne has been in the news. So NXT UK came back. So, yeah, one of the big things that came out during the relaunching, that BT Sports made a reveal. Oh, no filler special that on that's Pete Dunne has now transitioned to not just being a wrestler. He is still a wrestler, but he's also he's now an NXT UK producer. So he's now helping with the show, helping with the matches. And I was like, yeah, I'm curious to know now he has power. He now has a producer credit on the shows, and when I heard this, I was thinking to myself, okay, that's pretty cool. Though I am curious about why Pete Dunne of all people got this promotion. But he's awesome. I think it might have something to do with what happened in June when he started publicly speaking and condemning his colleagues for what happened, for what got exposed on them. And it damaged a lot of things. Where's wrestling? Like, but yeah, I think that might have been a major factor, and because he got more of a locker room reader vibe going about him, they thought Triple H was probably thinking, let's do a producer credit. He's rightfully earned it. Meanwhile, on the trademarking law degree site, Miro trademarked Miro. According to WrestleLink, Miro's trademark lawyer was Michael E. Dawkins, who helped FTR and Cody with recent trademark filings. So Miro has trademarked his name because for some reason, ever since the WWE debacle, I get the feeling that has something to do with it. But Miro's name is Miro in real life, and I'm left thinking to myself, wait, does that even work? You can trademark your real name? Like, if it was a fictional name, I get, but a real name? But, like, that's his real name. It can't just be his ring name. Like, that's how it works. Like, if he's using his real name, that means he owns it. Unless Vince really does want to think he can own your name. But, I'm just confused. Big WWE report did come out, though. So, as part of the continuing effort of WWE saying we need nostalgia to sell because we kind of went bankrupt with our stuff, Melina is heading back to WWE according to a report that came out from Mike Johnson, a PW insider, and now has been backed by Fightful. That former women's champion and Divas champion have come to terms for a return to WWE and will be returning to WWE program allegedly within the next week. So, the Ruthless Aggression era woman star is coming back, and now the internet will probably have thirst content for her splits. Yeah, that's probably true. And yeah, so fans are already ready to start posting Melina thirst content on Twitter, so be careful for that, everyone. But congrats to Melina coming back. Let's see what she'll bring in this new era. Let's hope she's not made into a nostalgic act, and let's hope it doesn't involve John Morrison, because Miz and John Morrison's shtick is kind of falling apart. Like, I get they were trying to use the Wyatt connection thing as the reason, but it's not working now. And also, you gotta factor that that if she goes to SmackDown, there's a chance she could be put with John Morrison. Well, not really put with John Morrison, but just do an angle with him, a storyline involving their past continuity history and their past relationship. But if she goes to Raw, which is in need of new challengers, at the same time, you're thinking, oh gosh, that means she's in danger because Nia Jax is on there. And no one wants to fight Nia Jax. No one wants to be fighting Nia Jax. So, yeah. The continuing saga of the WWE game. So, the new WWE game, 2K Battlegrounds, recently came out today at the time of this video's production. But, yeah, something got called out on the a day before. So there was an update regarding a certain graphic image, not graphic like dark content, or like depending on because of who I'm talking about. That's probably graphic because people hate her right now, and she's the most despised person right now. But yeah, yeah. So so WWE Battlegrounds had this image in the background that got reported, and yeah, one of the graphics showed a very familiar image of somebody. And when I saw it, I was like, and like, it wasn't even even similar. It was directly based off of it. Based off the image. So they filtered it, edited it, but it was clearly her. They used a Tessa image render and photoshopped it a little bit to put in the game, and now because of the WWE 2K Battleground getting some flack for that, or at least a call out, they have to remove it from in a patch update. So this is what Basil Mahad said. I just want to thank at Mr. Dawkins for all the help with this late last night and today. Awesome person and great representation. Needed to get this matter solved properly and effectively. Update: 2K Battlegrounds and I have spoken. The image is going to be removed tonight in a patch update. 1, no, I'm not going to tell you guys anything else. 2, I don't want to do your podcast. And number C, credit your artists. So yeah, the AEW lawyer who also helped with the trademark filings for Miro, FTR, Jericho, and Rhodes, among others, got contacted and was essentially told, "Hey, WWE ripped off Tessa Blanchard's image and just edited it just slightly, but not in a transformative way." So, yeah, when I saw this image of her, I was like, "Oh, Vince, like they got in trouble for this scene. If it was saying she signed, but that's one thing. She's not signed. Therefore, she has not signed a contract yet, it seems. That's the only takeaway I can really take away from this. Because if Tessa hasn't signed a contract, she can't be in that game, except in Create a Superstar mode, but that was a fan's doing. But yeah, screen cap from Hail by Nature posted it. It's from New Legacy Incorporated on Twitch stream. When I saw this, I was like, Tessa, so 2K, so one of two things might have happened. Tessa signed a deal, but they didn't want to leak, but they leaked it by accident. Or B, 2K Battlegrounds was cheaply made and they went up and just photoshopped, got some random images instead of making their own graphics. So, considering what 2K Battleground 2K20 was, I'm leaning towards both. So, independent wrestler Will Hobbs went on AEW Dark on the 15th. And it was announced that he would officially sign with AEW after recently impressing company president and CEO Tony Khan. It was noted that Khan then booked Darby Allin on Saturday Night Dynamite last month and was hands-on in helping put together the match. The idea behind Allin versus Hobbs was to show Allin could be a physically impressive wrestler. Khan thought Hobbs performed great in that role. Hobbs made an AEW debut at Dark taping back in July, losing to Orange Cassidy. He has won several Dark matches since then, and then Dynamite lost to Allin. He picked up his first win earlier this month when he defeated Sean Legacy on September 8th edition of Dark, which aired just days after Hobbs participated in the Casino Battle Royale at All Out. Hobbs then defeated Jesse Sourcine on this week's Dynamite at the time of this taping. There's no word there what AEW has planned, but he looks like he's up for a push. Stay tuned for more. So yeah. So a few months back, when the pandemic struck and the independent wrestling community was basically fractured, AEW, unlike WWE, made a huge offer for open contracted wrestlers or wrestlers currently out of work. They said, look, if you're able to, come to our shows, we'll pay you to perform on AEW and on our program. You won't have to sign any contracts. We come to our shows, pay, and if you impress us enough, we'll potentially sign you, kind of deal. And certain wrestlers have gotten that offer because of it. And now they're on AEW Dark, probably on the second show, part of the build up for the big double show. Oh, and AEW Dark. I kind of hope it's transitioned into a developmental place or a training facility, and then AEW's second show can be the new Dark or something else like that. So Walter talks about Survivor Series 2019. So while the relaunch was going on for NXT UK, Walter Remember when Walter was was in that Survivor Series tag team match, and it seemed like he seemed out of it, but yeah, he seemed off, like he didn't want to be there and he hated every second of it. So yeah, this is what he had to say. I really enjoyed competing with Seth because obviously he's one of the top guys in the world right now, and you want to compete with someone like him. Unless he's being a whiny little baby, and then he has to go ahead and go away for like a couple of months, and let's hope he does go away for a couple of months to refocus his mind. That, and also buy guns enough just to make certain no one tries to kidnap his child, because fans are freaking creepy. Anyways, going into Survivor Series was a different case. I am a believer of classic wrestling competitions like single matches and tag team matches. I'm really focused on the matches that we believe in Imperium. Joining forces with members from the NXT roster was necessary, but at the end of the day, I wasn't invested in it the way I should have been. Looking back, it was definitely a good experience, but looking at that match straight, I should not have been in it. So, Walter is very traditional, but I was thinking to myself, well, he did seem out of it when, like, he didn't want to be there, and whatnot, and probably because, and like, he has expressed he doesn't want to work in the States full time. He wants to stick to the UK, which means Vince is now going to push into world title contention because he doesn't want to be there. So if NXT UK had shut down, like everyone kept hearing rumors about it happening when the Speaking Out movement started, Walter would have left. He had no reason. He wasn't going to go to stick in the US. He didn't want to move. And with the pandemic, he couldn't move, so he would have most likely left. And losing Walter would have been a blow to the NXT brand because they just lost their champion. He took the belt. Well, what are we going to do? We have to discontinue everything, right? So he would be the final NXT UK champion. But Walter, luckily, NXT UK didn't shut down, but certain factors aren't really focused on that incident. But Ronda Rousey has made some news, made some headline news regarding some wrestling stuff. So, she has teased yet another return to the Squared Circle. While responding to a WWE Twitter account post, which looked back at her 2018 match against Natalya, Ronda Rousey had responded to this. One of my favorite matches, such a huge challenge in so many ways. What a crazy day! Looking forward to a rematch Sunday at Natty by Nature. So, Natalia and Ronda are best friends. Uh, they were planning to initially do a heel Natalia turn, and then they could do this storyline with them. But Ronda Rousey teasing this. Yeah, Ronda had said this earlier this year. I'm never going to be a full-time wrestler again, which requires me to be on the road for over 200 days a year. It's just that I was needed to do it in order to learn and get immersed into it and really understand what is going on. But it's not the lifestyle for me. Okay, I can respect that, but I'm like, she can she at least do the Raws or SmackDowns and pay-per-views? She doesn't have to do the house shows. But if she does that, she can't be the champion. I'm that philosopher on that. But at the same time, she can be champion. She can work Raw or SmackDown and do pay-per-views. But she doesn't. But she has the authority and the power and influence to not do house shows. And since WWE's cutting back on it, they might change the tune. But since her contract's set to expire in 2021 in April, we'll have to see where that goes. MLW has made an announcement. Major League Wrestling announced today that they have signed the signing of La Park Jr., the youngest son of La Park. His brother Hyejo D. La Park also wrestles in MLW. He also, earlier this morning, MLW CEO Court Barr tweeted about La Park Jr. signing. He also teased about how new faces will be heading into the restart. So yeah, I haven't watched much of MLW. I keep getting confused between La Park and the other La Park who sadly passed away. Like, yeah, I'm just royally confused every time. Why are there so many La Parks? La Parka, La Park Senior, Hyejo D. La Park. Confusing. So Greg Rucka has made some news. IDW is going to publish Greg Rucka's Star Wars Smugglers Run comic as a comic. He's written a 2015 junior novel Smugglers Run, a Han Solo and Chewbacca adventure. That was then adapted into a comic book miniseries published in Germany by Pani, written by Alec Worley and drawn by Ingo Romling. I'm pretty sure I butchered all those names, so sorry. Now it appears it's being translated back into English. It's by IDW and published in December. So, yeah, coming out in December, get a return of the Smuggler's Run. One more adventure of Han Solo and Chewbacca with Greg Rucka at the helm. So, the popular series comic, I haven't read this, but I think it's a horror comic. I could be wrong. Gideon Falls, Jeff is going to have a big ending quadruple size finale with 27th in December, coming out in December. But this is set to be the finale, and it's going to be the biggest pages, 80 pages. A giant story where all the universes of Gideon Falls finally converge. Can the combined forces of this ragtag band of Avengers would be enough to stop the Laughing Man and his limitless legion of evil? So yeah, this is the end of the Gideon series. I'm surprised. Yeah, they've been. And they have a TV series on the way, so that was picked up in 2018. So let's see where that goes. But Gideon Falls, I kept hearing a lot of praises about it, and to hear it go, man, it's kind of surprising a little bit. Walking Dead's comics series ended, and it's being relaunched its color format, and the Walking Dead series on TV is coming to an end. It seems like, and now they have, and Saga's currently delayed. They've been having some delays on a lot of their issues, so now they only have Undiscovered Country being their banner franchise to keep the company around or relevant. So Bleeding Cool also had reported that a currently dubbed X-Men title has been announced, classified as a classified X-Men title. The creators involved, there's been no details, not its name, creators involved, or the concept. There are current speculations about this. The last time there was a comic solicited as an X classified, it turned out to be a Mr. and Mrs. X, a Gambit Rogue team-up book. But there are several theories where it could go. It could be more Metagross spinning out of extra sword stasis. Could be this return of Genesis and Annihilation. Could this be Al Elwing's Abigail Brain Book of X of Sword, or most likely something else entirely. But that's currently the last. That's currently the big piece of news that happened, and the X-Men are ready to conquer the universe. But yeah, X of Swords launches in next week. I will hopefully talk about that when I get the new comics because I'm gonna do a comic book corner pickup week on Wednesday. So get ready for that. I hopefully will talk about these comics later, but that's about it. The last piece of news for this day, and yeah. Oh, and WWE counter programmed AEW's parking lot brawl with a Samoan street fight, top notch. So yeah, there was a whole bunch of news. I'm enjoying talking about it. We're at 40 minutes, 41 minutes close, and oh man, so yeah, it's gonna be interesting as we continue on. But but I'm most excited for a lot of the big stuff that come out. Harley Quinn being renewed, news in the wrestling world, DC Universe Infinite. I do think that if DC Universe Infinite is the new premium comic subscription app thing they're doing, I'm thinking to myself, okay, then it has to have trade paperbacks and digital collections. Try Omnibus in digital format for the subscription service. Like, they can't do single issues of when it came out. It can't just do that. It needs to have some big bonuses involved. So the trades and collections, because at the same time, the trade paperbacks and the collected editions sometimes had reworked dialogue or expanded scenes to flesh out certain things or rewrite certain things they feel like made a mistake a while back. So they should probably start doing that now. I'm like, I would love if they could do that, if DC does that. So we'll see what happens when DC Universe Infinite relaunches. But that's about it for this for this edition of Neo Reality Collective Pop Culture News Talk. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. Stay tuned for more, and I'll see you all next time.